Live from Michigan City, Indiana, it's Long Arm TV Live. Jamie Wallen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Quilters Apothecary. Today, what we're actually going to do is I had a bunch of requests for an old classic, which would be my dragonflies. So I'm going to do a few dragonflies for you. I know we have enough new folks that are quilting that have never seen the dragonflies. Something that I started doing about 20 years ago. And actually, I think for the first 3 or 4 years, what we did was when I'd quilt a quilt, I put a dragonfly on every quilt. Of course, I got tired of it, and so I stopped doing it. And I haven't done dragonflies for about 7 or 8 years now. So, anyways, I'm gonna do my first dragonfly in a long time today. But first, I wanted to make a few announcements. Number one, I hope everybody's doing as good as they can possibly be doing right now. Um, I'm thinking of all of you, and I know that you're thinking of everybody along with, and we're putting out good thoughts for everybody on the planet through all of the stuff that we're going through right now. Um, a couple of other announcements is this. What we want to do is we want to build up our subscriber base on our page, the Longarm TV Quilters Apothecary on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That would be wonderful. It helps us. And of course, when you start watching the videos, definitely hit like if you like them. Um, but also, what we want to do is on the first day of June, right about that time, I'm going to be doing two drawings. One drawing is going to be for a piece that I quilt, and then the other drawing is going to be for another piece that I quilt. And the smaller piece, is actually going to go to one of the subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. It's going to be a beautiful wall hanging. It'll have a hanging piece on it. What will it be? I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. I know we will film it whenever I go ahead and quilt that piece with some nice music in the background. I don't know that I'll be doing any talking, but I'll make sure it's an awesome piece for you to hang on your wall. So, like I said, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And then the other piece that we're going to have is a little bit of a bigger piece, a little more fancy. I'm going to be doing a really cool border design and maybe a couple block designs, maybe a couple dragonflies. I don't know what. But that piece is going to be a little bit bigger, and that's going to be a wall hanging as well. And that's for anybody that, as of today, what's the date today, Mr. Ritchie? The 18th of April. So April 18th through the last day of May. So we'll cut it off on the first day of June. And if you order something from the Quilters Apothecary website, um, you will go into that drawing for a free piece. And again, I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be pretty cool and awesome. And it'll have a hanging sleeve and binding and all that stuff. And as an example, it might not be on this piece, but I decided that I wanted to do both of those pieces on silk cotton radiance. So if you've never seen the silk cotton radiance, this is what it looks like. It's this beautiful shiny fabric. And I love working with this. So if you like silk radiance, obviously it's going to be bright colors. So um, we're going to go with something like that. So those are going to be the two drawings that we're going to be doing at the beginning of June to win. So please, like I said, subscribe if you want to subscribe. And also, if you want to purchase something from our Quilters Apothecary website, be a great time. And this is a little bit of incentive if there's something that you've been wanting or some rulers for you to go ahead and do that. So today, back to the dragonflies. So we're actually just going to.
So hold on, Mr. Wallen.
Yes, sir.
Since I'm the one that'll have to fulfill this contest, and folks, I didn't know anything about it until right now. So at any rate, so if anybody that's subscribed to our YouTube channel, the new one, Quilters Apothecary, they get a chance to win one of these wall hangings. And then the other one is for somebody that purchased something from our website from today until June 1st.
That is correct.
Okay, I need to write that down.
You
Thank you.
should write that down. You know, you should be used to this stuff. I just come out with this stuff. You know, this is the way it works. Poor guy. Anyways, do I look like I feel real bad for him? No. So, okay. Number one, let's get back to our dragonflies. And our dragonflies, the reason another reason that I want to do the dragonflies is to kind of welcome in spring because we just had a bunch of snow here, which is almost melted. There's a little bit of ice speckles all over the grass that's still melting. So we need something to kind of bring on spring and get some good weather in so that if we have to quarantine and go for walks outside, we can at least do it in comfort. Um, so that's the other reason. The other thing is dragonflies are a symbol of good luck. And I think that one of the things that we could use on this planet right now is a little bit of good luck. And as we struggle to put out good karma, good luck into the universe right now, we would also like to see some coming back in exchange. So let's kind of break into that with the whole motif of the dragonflies or the butterflies. So let me start off with this. There are two different ways that I've done the dragonflies in the past. Um, and you have the picture of one that I did. This one I did, I think, like 19, 20 years ago on a log cabin quilt. I know a lot of you have seen this quilt. That's an early version, so that's kind of where we're going to be headed. I'm going to do a couple different versions today of that particular dragonfly. So that's where we're heading. But again, a couple things you can do. You can actually go online and type in contour line drawn butterflies or contour line drawn dragonflies and kind of go through the internet if you'd like and get some ideas of different wing shapes and body shapes and different things like that. Now, a lot of times, what I used to do on the picture that he just put up, if you put that up again, Mr. Ritchie, what you'll notice is the body itself is couched yarn. And that was double eyelash couched yarn that I loved back then. They don't make that one anymore, but there's still some available. And so that's the way that I always would do it. I'd pick a color from the quilt that would be coordinating, and I would couch some yarn to put in there. But I didn't always do that. Sometimes that's good. So sometimes what I would do instead is I would start with pebbles and I would do a big pebble for the head and just kind of have them get smaller and go down to the bottom of the tail. And I would do that instead of using the yarn. So you don't have to use the yarn or the decorative thread to couch. The other thing is this. I know a lot of you save your thread tails when you're actually quilting. And I used to put mine in a jar. I used to have like 10 big jars of that. You know, you can use that and wrap it around your hand and twist it, and you can actually use that for the dragonfly bodies, which makes something really cool. And maybe intermingle some metallic thread in there. Um, but there's a lot of different ways to do that. But let's head over to the yarn. You know, I'm using one, or I've used one which I love. It's the Nora. I bought a ton of yarn years ago. I remember a friend of mine said, "Hey, I think you'd like to knit." And so I bought all of this yarn, and I think I tried knitting for a half an hour, and I said, "This just isn't going to happen." So I have all of this yarn left over that I use. But this one's a wonderful one. It comes in a variegated color. Anything will work, any type of yarn. You can actually use even some of this real decorative, fluffy yarn to make your dragonfly body, which is going to give you a very hairy kind of a body for your dragonfly or butterfly, which is really cool. And then, of course, there is the single eyelash as well as the double eyelash type of yarns out there. But there's tons of different choices that you can choose from. Today I'm going to be using a single eyelash to kind of coordinate with the actual quilt sample that we're going to be working on. Um, this is actually a piece that someone commissioned. They want a specific border that I'm going to do. Another tutorial for next week. So next week's live tutorial on Saturday is going to be wonderful border treatment. So now you get the idea. Any yarn will work. So let me get this out of the way. I got the finger pointing because he didn't know what we were going to be doing next weekend, and now he knows. Okay, so now here is where we're going to start. I've always used my hand as a measurement. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hand and I'm going to take the yarn, I'm going to hang it down, and I'm going to gently wrap it 2 or 3 times right around my hand. And then I'm simply going to snip the two tails so they're a little bit longer. Now I'm not going to worry about those two tails. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the head and I'm going to twist the little guy's neck, and it won't hurt him. I always used to say that. It's like in my muscle memory to say, it won't hurt him. Put this aside. And then what happens is I'm going to take this over to the quilt, and I've actually already drawn a little area. You can kind of see where I've kind of laid out where I want this dragonfly. So I'm going to take him and I'm going to lay him right down, right there, after I give him a twist. And the reason that I like to twist the neck is obviously I don't want him to have a football player neck. I want it to be nice and tight. I'm going to bring my machine over. Now, one thing is, let me see, I'm going to go take off my gears. Now I am in freehand mode. Go back to my machine. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock that neck. Now, right now, I am using a metallic thread to do this. Now, it's an old spool, so God willing, this is going to work. Now, if it doesn't work, Rich already has a backup plan so that he can change that out. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to tuck that neck right under that. Let me see. That's a pretty thick yarn. Okay, we're in real time here. So this is real life. Let me hang this off again. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and that is how thick I'm going to do it for the specific foot that I have on my machine right now. Give that neck a little twist. I'm going to line him up. Go there. Now I have my open toe. And I'm going to go ahead. I am on 12 stitches per inch. I am on regular stitch regulator. I am simply going to go over and just kind of nail that neck down so I don't have to worry about it turning. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab all of this tail behind here. Get rid of that tail too. It makes me crazy. And I'm going to give it a twist. What I want is I want to build up a little bit of texture like a pipe cleaner. So I'm simply going to, whoops, sorry. Which camera are we going to? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to twist it. Twist his tail right there. All right, Mr. Ritchie, I think maybe if we head back to that camera. There we go. So now I'm going to line that right up on the line that I drew. And I'm going to go down the inner edge, back and forth, stay on the inner edge, back and forth. So all I'm doing right now is I'm simply couching the body of that dragonfly. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you can make this guy as big as you want to make it. Back and forth, back and forth. I want a nice long tail. Might as well use all that beautiful yarn because it coordinates with that fabric lovely. So now I have the dragonfly body couched down. Now I'm going to go on the inner edge. And by the way, when I did that, I didn't go all the way to the outside and go down because I didn't want a definite line. So, but I also don't want to go through the middle of the body where the yarn is really thick. I want to stay just in that inner edge. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put my mode on cruise mode, And again, if you haven't seen the tutorial on how I like to use the cruise mode, go ahead and check that out. And it will be up soon, right? We filmed it and it's going to be edited. So I have a wonderful way to use the cruise no matter what machine you have. Most machines out there now have a coast, cruise, start speed mode. So we're going to start and we're going to do a wing. So I'm going to slide that up. And now I'm going to come out. I'm going to do like a leaf shape, come back, cross over, do another leaf shape, come back, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go into that leaf shape and I'm going to give it a little bit of texture. And I like to just go ahead and add what I call my webbing. So I just kind of do some curve, 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 curve. Just give it some contour lines. Back, back, back. Give myself a little curly cue up there just to kind of decorate it. Come back. And now I want to come back and I want to go the other way, the opposite way. Back, 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 over, over, over. And now I'm going to cross over. I'm going to repeat the same thing. Over, over, back, 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 over, back, over, back. Give myself a little curly cue. I like the little curly cue. And then come back and go the opposite way just so I give it that nice netted look in that top wing. I always like to put the netting in the top wing because immediately you see that and you either think dragonfly or butterfly. And then what I'm going to do once I finish that is I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a curved V shape right there, cross over, go under, curved V shape right there, come back. Now, if I look at that and I say, ooh, I don't like the way that that looks, it's a little off. Well, first of all, we're going to put filler in there so I can make it work. Like, for example, that needs to be a little bigger right there. So I can always do that just to give it a little bit of a fix. And now what I'll do is I'll go in there and I'll put some sort of a micro work in there. And you can use whatever you want to do. I'm going to go ahead. Since we're doing classic, I might as well do the old pebbles, which is what I always used to put in there. When I do pebbles, I simply do figure eights, figure eight, figure eight. Now, if I go over the edge of my wing a little bit, I'm not going to worry about that because I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to clean up that wing. So that wing is going to look awesome by the time it's done. I'm going to thicken the edge of that wing, but first I want to get all of my filler. Right there, I just went over the wing a little bit. But again, I'm going to clean that up and thicken that line, so that'll be fine by the time it's done. Go in, out, curly Q, come back, curly Q, back, little bit of a tendril right there, come back. Now, since I'm on this side, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thicken that line. So what I'm going to do is do my sketching back and forth, back and forth. And what the sketching does, rather than go in long swoops to do it, I'm going to do sketching back and forth because what that does is it thickens the line, but it keeps me directly on that line. It's going to be less sloppy. Back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. I'm going to go under, come down, and now I'm going to go on the bottom side, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Now I'm going to follow that thick line right up. And now I'm going to do the top wing. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, thicken it, pop it out. Now the whole reason that I came up with this whole Dragonfly was I used to have clients early on that would bring me quilts, and a lot of my clientele didn't always have closed seams. So, and I wouldn't find out until I was in the midst of quilting. So I had to have something that I could put on their quilt to close that seam and keep it locked and keep the integrity of that quilt stable, so that it wouldn't. Now I'm going to go up here right into that head, and I'm just going to nail that head down just a little bit. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add some antenna, come down, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my filler in that bottom wing. And there are hundreds of thousands probably of options of different dragonflies, butterflies. I remember I used to tell people I had a client in Battle Creek. For some reason, her thing she was into was houseflies. And I remember I used to put a couple houseflies on each of her quilts, which was pretty interesting. Um, yep, to each their own. So anyways, but you can go online, type in whatever type of flying bug or bug that you would want to do, and you can come up with your own little logo idea to put in there. Okay, now when I get out to here and I go in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself a tendril, back, tendril, back, a little bit of a tendril out. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thicken that line. Thicken, thicken, back, forth. I'm going to come down, follow that line, thicken it, thicken it, thicken. Come up. Now I'm going to do the same thing to that top. Come around. Pause. Let me see what I did over on the other side. So I did another little tendril. Come back. And then a straight tendril. Back. Just to kind of match it up a little bit. Now, if you want to chalk your wings so they're more even on both sides, absolutely. You know, I have yet to see an ugly dragonfly or butterfly yet. So again, they don't have to be perfect. The human eye is automatically going to self-correct. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slide down and I'm going to throw in a little tendril, come back, maybe a little leaf, another leaf, little chubby leaf, come back. Come back, I'm going to look at that. Let me size that. And again, if you need to, just for your own um, peace of mind, if you want to, no, I don't like that. That's a little too far over. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to chalk kind of my tendril about where I want to do it so I know where I'm aiming. Curly Q, come back, chubby leaf, come down, chubby leaf, come spring, please, hurry spring, come back, throw in another tendril, come back, and now we can look at that. Now what I could do as well is I could go ahead and I could change colors, like maybe put a little bit of teal or something, thread in my machine, and I could actually go inside that thick line and add a thicker line of an adjacent color. Now I'm not going to do that right now, but that is an option. Now, what about my flight path? So I want something back here. So I'm going to be aiming back here. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come this way. Mr. Ritchie, if my hand gets in the way, let me know. Do a flight path. Do a hook. Come back. Down. Feather. Let's see if I can do one-handed feathers. Back. Not horrible. Now I'm going to backtrack up, and now I'm going to put some of those dragon feathers in there. Up. Backtrack up. Curve under. Scoop back. Give it a vein. Backtrack up. Under. Back. Give it a vein. Up. Under. Back. Give it a vein. Up. Curve under. Back. Vein. Up. Under. Back. Vein. Up. Curve under. Back. Vein. Up. Under. Back. Vein. Up. Under. Vein. And then I think this one I'm just going to connect right there. Come back. Now I've got my flight path all done. Tie that tail down a little bit. Down. Come on, little fella. Woo-hoo. You're hiding from me. There we go. Okay, so now, of course, I could go as crazy as I'd want to go. I could actually feather the outside of that leaf. I could go up to the head. And again, I'm staying in the inside edge so the yarn is popping, and I could add a teardrop to the top and then a little bit of a miniature feather right at the top. Come down, feather. It's a Vegas dragonfly. Come down, lock those. What are you laughing about over there, old man? It's got what? A headdress, that's right. Okay, so now, again, I can doctor this up as much as I want. What I would normally do at this point is then I would go around with matching thread, not to the dragonfly, but to the background, so that way the dragonfly itself is going to pop out. So I'm going to do my needle up, release this, down, up, pull away, snip my thread, and then I'm going to do another one over here on this side, and I think I'm going to grab some different colored yarn, just cuz, just cuz, just cuz. Yeah, why not? Maybe, if I can find the tail. Where's the tail? Where is the tail? You know, isn't it funny? Fabric and stuff that you buy. I remember where I got this. I was touring with Lynn Douglas down. We were coming from an old quilt show, Innovations, and we were traveling. I'm going to get past that green. We were traveling down the West Coast, and we were stopping at every fabric shop along the way. And she was the one that started to try to talk me into this knitting. I think she was making gloves or socks or something. I can't remember what. But anyways, I bought all this. I think I spent $1,000 on all this yarn crap. Never used it, except for my dragonflies. But that was a fun trip. And I remember the quilt shop that I bought that at. 2, 3. Yeah, I like that green. That'll look nice against that purple. 4. Okay. And it'll look really nice with that metallic. Okay, so let me get rid of this. that over there, out of the way. Get rid of it, get rid of it. And that was like 10 or 15 years ago. What was this? It was $10 for a spool of yarn back then. Holy cow. All right. So now I've got this taken care of. Did you need to rearrange that other camera, Mr. Ritchie, or are you all set? Sure. So this is where we will be. I'm going to go down. They'll be able to see that okay? Yeah, you did a good job, as always. You are a genius. I take back every mean thing well, not everything, but a lot of it. If you've never seen me and Mr. Ritchie in a classroom setting or in a regular setting, we are the parents from Everybody Loves Raymond. Because he's mean as a snake, and we just don't let each other get away with anything. Of course, I'm the sweet one, and then, of course, he's the horrible human being that he is. So, what do you do? All right. Now, we're going to lock that down. Okay. Ooh, that's going to be a short body dragonfly. Okay, but that's okay. I'm going to twist that. Remember, we don't want to twist it so much that we break a needle, right? So I just said the magic word, so be ready, Mr. Ritchie. You may have to change the needle for me here. I have only broke two needles in my whole quilt life, I think. But they weren't for dragonflies. Come down, back and forth, slide down the inner edge, slide down, slide down, and I don't want to hit my finger either. Slide down. My friend Deb did that. Boy, she got her finger. That needle stuck. And her husband was on his way home from work, thank God. And so she sat there with her finger, and the first thing she said was, "Did I bleed on the quilt?" Okay, so I'm going to trim that tail a little bit. And do you need to get that one a little closer before I start? Okay, pretty good. And which one is that? Is that one? Okay. So I'm getting used to all these cameras he's got around here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to slide up the inner edge. And I am going to nail down the head just a little bit. God willing, that open toe won't get caught on it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself my antennas. I'm going to come down. Top wing, again, I love that leaf shape, of course. That seems to be my universal shape for the top wings, unless I'm doing a regular butterfly. And then that. And what I'm going to do is my bottom wings are actually going to be the feather hooks rather than wing shapes, which looks really cool. So I'm going to come up and I'm going to go ahead, put in my contour lines. And again, if I overshoot the edge, I'm not going to worry about it so much. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Thank you, Metallic, for holding out, for being an old spool. I think it's about a 12-year-old spool of metallic. And the brand of metallic that I'm using right now is Superior Metallic, one of my favorites, and it's the military gold. They have a couple different golds, and I tend to love the military gold. I do use other metallics as well. I do like the Filtech metallic as well, but this one is my original favorite that I fell in love with, which was the Superior Metallic. I can usually make this stuff run on any machine out there. The thing to remember when you're using metallic thread is you always want to use like a nice 40 weight poly, something smooth so that metallic is not going to get caught on the thread when it's making the stitch in the bobbin. Come back, little tendril, come back there, and now I'm going to come back the opposite way. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to thicken that line, back, forth, back, forth. Which camera? Yeah, will my arm be in the way? No. Back, forth. We're using a lot of new technology here, so as we feel our way through, up, down. Iris, if you haven't met Iris, if you're not on my Facebook page, Iris is my Great Dane. She's over by the machine. I think the sound of the machine always makes her go to sleep. And then Gypsy's over guarding the door, waiting for any dogs to walk by. We're at our studio right now, the Tag downtown. Come back, come back, come back. So now we have a nice thick line there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come off the back. And I'm going to give myself a hook. And now what I'm going to do, I think on the way back, is rather than a feather, I'm going to go with some fern fronds. S shape, come back. Remember, you want to travel up the spine so that way you stagger the size of the fern fronds. I have to say, the person who I feel, just does amazing fern fronds is Nicole Webb. Nicole Wild now, I believe, is her last name. But she was the person that taught me that the best fern fronds have the thin fronds rather than the really thick fronds. So now I'm going to come around this way, get that nice S shape, come back, S, come back, S, double bump, swirl, back, come around, come back, throw in some regular feathers just to kind of change it up, double bump. I have my troll bridge. Now I'm going to plant some feathers under the troll bridge. Go back to my fern fronds. Fern, back, fern, back, back. I'm going to build another little troll bridge there as I'm coming across the top and plant some little feathers right under that bridge. Couple ribbon feathers. Curve back, divot in, cross over. Curve back, divot in, cross over. Small feather, double bump to close it up. Now I'm going to come back. Glance at what I have there, and I think what I'm going to do is slide right down and couch those little bits, just a little. I don't want to take them all the way to the end, but I want to nail those down just a little bit right in there. Now when I come back, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come this way and repeat that bottom wing. Go in, come back out, start with my ferns, down. The key when you're doing ferns is to really travel down that spine so that you can then stretch out those fronds, come down, down. Okay, what did I do? I did fern fronds all the way down. Come down. Come all the way down, and now I'm going to head up. Fern, up with an S shape, come back. Give myself a nice S. Start stretching those out a little bit. I want to go back in here. Add a little bit of fern there to fill it up. And then let me look. Sometimes I have to stop and get my bearings. It's about right here on this one, so about right there. So when I go ahead, double bump, build a bridge, which is simply a double bump feather that echoes back so that I have a troll bridge to plant little troll feathers under there. Double bump, swirl, echo the inside, come all the way back, and then plant those little troll feathers right under the bridge. Troll bridge. Go back. Up. Go back into some fern fronds. Come back. Kind of glancing a little bit at the other side just so I can kind of match-ish. Again, the eye is going to automatically sort of balance it out. Feather. Ribbons. Ribbon. Little teeny feather to connect. Now I'm going to come back. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself a flight path right out the back there. And because I put feathers here, I'm not going to do a nice long feather like I normally do. I will come out, loop, vine, loop, vine, go into a little swirl, come back, pause for a second. Doing good? Okay. Saw Rich playing with the camera, thought maybe I needed to pause. I'm going to go ahead and plant a little feather right there, right in those leaves. Come down, and again, this is the thing to remember with quilting. For goodness sakes, you bought a machine so that you could play and have fun. Play and have fun, for crying out loud. Sometimes it's just nice to load on some fabric and just play. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be planned. Curve, 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 come down, follow that back, maybe throw in a few little tendrils. Loop-de-loop, loop-de-loop, come back down, go right over that tail. Now, I could come over here and on this leaf right here, I could come under and add a few little feathers. Again, this is your little guy. You can make him as crazy as you want to make him. could come up here, do the same thing. Come under, come down, do the same thing there. Come up. Come down. Right about there on the other side is where I started. There we go. And it looks like I did an extra few tendrils on that one. Long. Lock my stitches. Maybe I'll come up here. Yeah, I like that. Let me go right here. Let me add a few little extra tendrils there. Lock my stitches. Go ahead. Loosen my thread. Pull away. Grab my tail. Come back. Single stitch for my new folks. That's how you grab it. You pull and pop that knot right up through and then give it a snip and you are good to go. Okay. So, Mr. Ritchie, can you bring the camera over so that they can get a nice shot of those and see what we did? I know they saw it from a distance. Was that pretty close? Not bad for not doing them for a long time. He did. He did say, "Are you sure you can still do a dragonfly?" And I can do them okay-ish. I should do a few more to practice because those were fun. I miss them. Sometimes the classic stuff is wonderful. Can you get that? Okay, let me kind of go under. There, how's that? All right, awesome. Well, there we have it. And I'm sure there's going to be a few questions. A lot of comments. As we do these, one thing I want to add is that when you do have a question specifically for something that I'm doing, and we answer questions on the live stuff at the very end, is always put a couple question marks before the question and then after the question. That way, that'll draw his eye to it, and then he knows which ones are questions and which one is you all sharing conversation.
Jamie,
Yes.
you've covered this before, but NTAYDVM2 happened to ask, how does it help with your YouTube subscriptions? Just curious. Do you want to cover that one more time?
Absolutely. So, what it does for the YouTube subscriptions, for anybody that does a YouTube channel, and I think everybody should, the more the merrier, you know. But when you do a YouTube subscription, and Rich, you can jump in afterwards if
Yeah,
you want.
the biggest reason for us actually is the more subscribers, the larger the videos they will let us upload.
Yeah,
At first, they'll only let you upload, and you used to see years ago, a lot of our videos were like in three parts.
yeah,
But the newer videos, even I think you mentioned the basic swirl video was three parts. It's
yep,
now one part.
yep,
It's been remastered and put together. So
right.
that's the biggest reason. Also, the thing, at some point, and I know a lot, or you want to bring this up about the monetization?
Absolutely. So, monetization. So, and I know that this can be a dirty word for some folks, but let me explain a little bit for people. When we like this was prepping all day by getting the fabric ready and getting things loaded, and our other tutorials that we load up when we do that, we spend probably about 2 or 3 days filming tutorials during the week, and we offer free tutorials. And what happens is at a certain point we're allowed to monetize, you know, where you see the commercials and then you can skip commercial, but for each commercial you get like a couple cents. So very possibly if a lot of people are watching the videos, even if you skip the commercial, they let you skip about 4 or 5 seconds in, we still get a couple pennies. So maybe we get $50 to $75 a month for the people that watch the videos, for us to be able to give free videos, because it does take a lot of time out of our day. So keep that in mind when you are watching people's YouTube videos and you do that. I can't stand that they have the commercials. But remember, even though they're free and we want to keep providing free stuff to people, it's nice to be able to receive um, a check quarterly for maybe 100, 150 bucks so that we can upgrade our camera equipment, so that we can upgrade our software. We try to do really good quality videos when we video. We try to have some nice equipment for this sort of things because I got to be honest, I think DVDs are they've kind of become a thing of the past. We have a lot of people that still purchase them, which we love, thank God, and we always will have them. But also, people like to be able to just go to YouTube in your pajamas and look at all the new stuff. So that's the reason.
Okay, Dina from California, our Dina.
Hey,
What is the fabric called?
the shiny fabric fabric I'm quilting on, or the one for the contests? So the fabric I'm quilting on, this is cotton sateen. So this fabric that I'm working on today, it has a little bit of sheen. It's brush cotton is pretty much what it is. So one side has a little bit of sheen and the other side is matte finish. That's what I was quilting on today, and it's hand dyed. The other fabric that I was showing, Mr. Ritchie, could you throw that to me? For the contest winners, the two that I'm going to be quilting is Silk Radiance. And you'll see here, one side is shiny. That is the silk side. How is that? Can you see the shine at all? How's that showing up? And it's beautiful. This stuff is amazing. And then the other side, oops, I'm stuck. The other side has a matte finish, which is the cotton side. Still beautiful, but it's matte finish. And so this is Radiance by Robert Kaufman. And it went off the market because silk got really expensive. And so it was just a crazy price. And so they just took it off the market. But now they have, I believe, brought it back. So depends on which one. This is cotton sateen, that is silk Radiance.
Okay, I know you or covered it again, but you could say one more time because several people are asking about the metallic thread.
Absolutely. So the metallic thread that we used for the dragonflies was superior metallic thread, and I
And your
used,
bobbin thread.
and my bobbin thread is 40 weight isocord embroidery thread, which I love in my bobbin. It's my absolute favorite. The other bobbin thread that I absolutely love is the glide. So the Magna Glide, if you want to buy the pre-wounds. I like to wind my own bobbin, so I just use a spool of the Glide, and I'm using the 40 weight. A lot of people like to use the 60 weight. It's a newer one. I haven't got into using that a lot just because I'm so used to using the 40 weight. Oh, and I'm sorry, let me add real quick. I also like the Filtech um, metallics as well. It can be a little more fragile, so I simply have to loosen my bobbin tension just a hair more, and that runs awesome as well. So I like the Filtech metallic, but the Superior metallic is what I use today, which I love.
Okay, so Colleen S., who was enrolled in one of your May classes, says thank you for rescheduling the class. I just wanted to mention that. Colleen, it was a hard decision for us, but we
Yeah.
know it was the right decision. And, we'll have, God willing, we'll have classes here for the rest of the summer and get to see a lot of you
Yeah.
then as well. So, anyway,
Yeah. That was yeah, Colleen, thank you. Thank you. Hopefully rescheduled for the open times that we had, which was wonderful if you did. Yeah, it's always a hard decision, and I have to say this, at this time, um, people are drowning, no matter what business, and I know you all are. It's like those of you that have businesses quilting for clients. People are scared, people are nervous. Um, Life is changing, and we appreciate those folks in May who chose to go ahead and reschedule the class for the open times that we left.
Okay, so Mary asks, what will you do on the rest of the fabric?
So on the rest of this piece, um, you are going to see next weekend, next Saturday live, will be me doing a border treatment, which is very cool. So I'm going to show you a border treatment on it. The rest of it, once I get the Dragonflies, it's a fairly small piece. I think it's like about a 55 by 44 piece. And I have a nice wide border. I think I have a 6-inch border with a little mini border. So I'm going to be doing some really cool border treatments, a couple different ones in the border next weekend. And then on the body itself, once I get the dragonflies in, I might plant a few shapes um, layered behind the dragonflies along with some filler. But the one thing that I know is I'll make sure to match the thread to the background so that the dragonflies are what pop out. So I might do a feather filler in the background. I might do a swirl fill, might do leaves, or I might go crazy and actually chalk a grid and do some really cool grid work in the background. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be doing in the background. The person who commissioned this piece just said, I want 4 dragonflies and a great border treatment. And then whatever you put in the background is what you put in the background. So we'll see.
Where did you get the sateen? Hard time finding that. Also, where the silk radiance? I really need to answer that. I order all the material. We were getting both of them from Robert Kaufman. The radiance was out, and I think some of the radiance is coming back now. But I haven't bought fabric for Jamie in a while. It's been not in this, definitely this year, and it would have been early last year because we ordered a ton of it for the dyeing classes.
Yeah, we
So I haven't
love to
ordered
dye.
it in a while. We heard Radiance is coming back,
Yeah, that's what I heard.
but it was Jamie had a 100-yard bolt of it, and it was like in a. I had to build a safe for it
Yeah,
while it
yeah.
was out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My friends would come in and it's like, hey. So, yeah,
Vicky F would like to know what size needle are you using?
18. I'm an 18 guy. So, you know, yeah, I'm an 18. I'm pretty consistent 18. Sometimes I'll go to a 16 accidentally because Rich will hand me the wrong size and he'll give me a 16. I have for years used a size 18, which converts to a 4.0 if you're using that size chart. But I like a size 18 needle. I never see stars. I never have issues. The threads that I run are sure, yeah, yeah. I hear the girl. She's like, "Hey, what are you doing over there without me?" My Iris. Um, so I'm using a size 18. I always do, and you're gonna have a lot of show quilters and other quilters that are gonna say, for this I use this, or I'll use a ballpoint, or I'll use this. I'm pretty stable with my size 18. The only time I ever change my needle sizes or types are um, if I'm going to be quilting on leather, and then I will use a leather needle. But that's or do thread painting. I like to use a leather needle for my thread painting. So this is our Iris. Hi, sweetie. Say hello to everybody's. So 2-year-old Great Dane, who is just our one of our dear treasures, and of course we have our Gypsy as well, who's doesn't want to come on camera. She's old and cranky-ish. So she kind of runs the roost. We call her our Judge Judy. She's, anyways, Judge G. So, anyways, but size 18 is what I use. And I never have troubles, no matter what thread I'm running. Like I said, unless I'm going to be quilting on leather, and then I'll switch to a leather needle. Or thread painting, and then I switch to a leather needle. I like that. Okay. Questions? That's it? Thank you, everybody. This was a wonderful way to spend our Saturday afternoon, and we love spending it with you, especially right now that everybody's isolated. Know you're loved. Take care of each other and take care of yourself. Be safe and really be safe. You know, follow as many precautions as you're willing to follow based on your own belief system, but follow them. They are important right now. Take it from an old nurse. You got to follow those procedures. Universal precautions are there for a reason. Use them and be well.